So let's talk about this. Proof of weekends, smart contract news. Nobody's covering this. We're going to talk about some mainstream news stories. In fact, we've got 5 different news stories we're going to talk about that affect smart contracts that allow users to earn passive rewards or passive income, similar to proof of weekends. Proof of weekends is one, HDX20 is another, P3X being, basically a tether to proof of weekends or P3D as well. So all of those are effective smart contracts that allow you to earn rewards or allow you to earn value, get some sort of value. HDX isn't like a passive cryptocurrency reward or crypto dividend like proof of weekends is, but you still earn something. And there's several news stories, and I see cryptocurrency YouTubers covering these news stories. And then I read some of these news stories on my own, and I'm like, nobody's covering this. No one's understanding that some of these news stories are specifically speaking to use cases or even legislation that we should be aware of in proof of weekends. So let's go through some of these. We've got 5 total that I want to cover. That's been, I think the oldest one's about a week old, but let's go through this. So first things first, that isn't directly related, it's just something to be aware of. Bitcoin price defies oversold conditions to hit 15-month low. I have forever, and you can, they're talking about this news story, that Bitcoin's tumbled to 15-month lows earlier, dashing hopes of a rally signaled by extreme oversold conditions. So, and they're saying that it went down to 3,200. So basically what's happening is they go through this article and they talk about several technical indicators that showed that cryptocurrency should be reversing. But every technical indicator so far that they mentioned failed, one being the RSI. Now, here's the thing. I've been a proponent for a long time on this channel about, I think technical analysis is a bunch of mostly bunk. I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but people sometimes will defend it and say, yes, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why it works. Well, that's why I give it about a 10 to 20% importance when it comes to me investing in cryptocurrency. I will sometimes look at support levels or whatever if I'm looking to make a purchase if we're in a strong pullback. By the way, I like to buy when the market's dropping. I like to take profits when the market's going up. Emotionally, that's very hard to do. So I tend to look at doing the opposite. Like the fact that Bitcoin broke all of these negative technical indicators that showed there should be a turnaround makes me feel like all the more reason that there actually could be a real turnaround. With me saying that, I always reserve to be right 100% of the time about 100% of everything. So with that being said, I still, if I buy in, I'm dollar cost averaging in, and it's like, okay, well, this might be the bottom. I'll make a small purchase, and then if it's not the bottom, so what? I'm ready to make another small purchase, even lower. Give me a chance to get in again. But I just think it's interesting that I wanted to highlight the fact of don't get too caught up in the technical indicators. They simply fail sometimes. Why? Because the market is the market doesn't follow anybody's rules ever. So let's keep going. So here's the next one. U.S. lawmaker suggests wall coin to fund Trump's Mexico border wall. This is really fascinating. I think this is positive for crypto for a couple of reasons. If this makes mainstream news story, first of all, it's important to note that there is a congressman, this Warren Davison, Ohio congressman, that is a big proponent for cryptocurrency. And this is like his way of kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. Will this actually happen? I think there's 100% chance that this does not happen. However, just the fact that it's coming up makes it newsworthy and it gets covered and it brings attention. But what people fail to realize when they hear things like this wall coin, I want to talk about this wall coin. If this were to happen, what is the point? I mean, this congressman talks about raising money like a crowdfunding or crowdsourcing, basically an ICO for wall coin, and use that money to fund the border wall. That's what he suggests. There's so many things about this that's pretty interesting. I don't even want to go into the politics of wall or no wall. Yeah, I'll stay away from that for now in this video. And I don't want, but I will talk about that it's extremely expensive. Okay, and our government can't figure out how to pay most of their liabilities. So the idea of getting creative to raise money, I think, is fascinating. The question is, why not just put out a bond? Maybe it's because it's about capitalizing on the fact that it's a cryptocurrency, meaning I would prefer to see something like a crypto ICO raise money versus a bond, but I can't understand, outside the fact this guy is pro-crypto, why he would say, let's raise money through an ICO. He didn't call it an ICO, but let's raise money through an ICO through something called Wallcoin. But let's go down this path for a moment. If we were going to do this, would you invest in it? Would I invest in it? Most people will invest for two reasons. They believe in the purpose, or they see a potential to earn an income. So I could see people investing in this because they believe in the purpose. And I think it's awesome because it would definitely bring a lot of awareness to cryptocurrency. But I can't see from an investment standpoint, where's the use case for the coin? Unless it was a smart contract similar to Proof of Weak Hands or even HDX20, and there could potentially be no further use case for the coin, by the way. Just use the coin to raise money on the wall, and then people will hold on to the coin. Some people will sell the coin. That's going to create volume, and literally you could create a product like Proof of Weak Hands all of a sudden, just people buying and selling, whether they believe in the wall, whether they believe in the project, etc. But I actually think the best use case here would be something like HDX20, where they raise money with a wall coin. We'll call it WX20 for fun. They raise money with the wall coin, and what happens is, as everybody sells, the price goes up. Because if you remember HDX20, the way it works is there's a 4% fee to buy in, a 4% fee to sell. And that fee goes directly to the value of each individual coin. It's distributed as value, so the price of the coin slowly ticks up and it never ticks down. It's very fascinating. And so in that case, there would be some people that would never sell those coins because they're always waiting for them to go up higher. And there would be others that would just simply sell because they needed money or whatnot. But nonetheless, they would be able to raise money and nobody would actually lose. It's just an interesting thought. Like if they did, like a ICO on an ERC20 coin, like something like HDX, where there was a fee to buy in and to sell, they could literally sell those coins, raise money. Just interesting. Food for thought on how that's a real world use case. And it would be better to use a smart contract coin than would ever be to use just a standard crypto, in my opinion. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments on this. So here we go. Number 3, Venezuela. So I think Venezuela is interesting to watch with their petrodollar, what they're trying to do, because I actually believe that the governments will, obviously Venezuela is doing it. I don't know how many governments will do it. I don't know if like all of the development Western world governments, North America, Europe, I don't know if they'll do it, but I do know that governments are going to try to co-opt cryptocurrency technology. And this is a perfect example of it. If you don't know about Venezuela right now, first of all, the news story, Venezuela is forcibly converting pension balances to the petro. Forcibly. I think you would be naive to think under the right circumstances, every government in the world wouldn't attempt something like this under the right circumstances. And basically what's happening is they're fighting, they can't get a handle on their inflation. Their dollars are basically getting inflated. They're having to print more money to cover their debts, and all that's doing is devaluing the currency across the whole nation. So literally every day, every week, every month, your Venezuelan dollars are buying less and less and less. And what they're doing is the government pays out pensions like Social Security, for example, in the US. And all of a sudden, they've forced these people to receive pension in petro, no longer in the government-backed currency. And this petro is supposedly be pegged to the price of oil or to oil, but nobody actually knows that. It's very interesting, and you can look this article up for yourself and read it if you want to. It's on CoinDesk, but it's very interesting to think about. Again, if the governments were going to do this, I think this is one of those things where it would be far better off if it was a smart contract. Of course, in this case, they wanted it to be centralized, but if it was a decentralized smart contract, I think they would be far, far more better off. In fact, they could even do an ICO, raise the money, help the government become more solvent by hopefully raising money through the ICO. And then from that point forward, if it was, in this case, I think the Proof of Weak Hands model would be the better model, where people are buying and selling. Not everybody has to use their pension every single month, but a lot of people do. And so, but you would be rewarded for saving. That is rare. That doesn't exist in this current economic model. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that our current economic model rewards, our current economy is based on spending. But imagine a system where people would actually be rewarded for saving. And so the people who could save 5%, 10%, 20% of their pension, just assuming that everybody's not spending every dollar, and everybody's not spending every dollar. Some people are saving a little bit even in their pensions. Not all of the elderly are totally destitute and broke. But just think about that for a moment, and they would be, even if they couldn't save, even if they weren't saving it for 1 month to the next. I mean, if they weren't saving from 1 year to the next, they were just saving it month to month. They're going to be earning some revenue on that savings that people were able to save. Because the great thing about putting it out as a pension from a centralized government standpoint is volume's going to be created because people are always going to be using that and spending it to pay various bills and whatnot. That's just fascinating to think about. And from one respect, unfortunately, it would be very centralized. In this case, it's centralized. But it would absolutely create volume. And that could be instantly, one of the things you've heard me talk about for a long time is how proof of weekends, that token could be an interesting way, at least it could be the early stages for an interesting model to do like a decentralized pension plan. And there, I mean, right here, it's showing you, imagine instead of getting paid just in a cryptocurrency where the only value is to be able to sell it, to buy goods or services, what if you could hold it and start earning on your holdings because other people are selling it to buy goods and services? That's just fascinating. I actually think this is an interesting microcosm in crypto to pay attention to what they do. I don't like seeing how it's centralized in what they're doing, but it's interesting to see what governments around the world could be doing. But a smart contract, reward earning, dividend earning token would be far better than just a random blockchain, centralized blockchain token like the Petro. All right, let's continue on. This is interesting. Former Arise Bank exec settled charges in SEC ICO lawsuit, and this wasn't even the one. This wasn't the one that I wanted. This is a good one. Basically, someone that was essentially running a Ponzi. They weren't doing Arise. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and the government came down on them. And this is where I think the SEC. This is the type of ICO stuff that should not be allowed. I mean, ICOs, in my opinion, should be allowed, but obviously fraud, blatant fraud, should not be allowed. And this is a situation where I think the SEC, as an agency, probably should step in. But then there's other things where for me, it's more of a gray area. Here we are. SEC fines crypto fund $50,000 and issues cease and desist. And you go through this article, and there's this Coin Alpha crypto fund. Basically, they had 22 investors. They had raised about $600,000, and they were basically investing in cryptocurrency and earning money. They were running a money fund, or basically like a small hedge fund. And evidently, I mean, I hate saying this, but in order to do that, you have to be registered with the SEC in many cases, or you have to have various exemptions. They didn't meet any of the exemptions. But this is unfortunate because in order to be able to participate in something like this, the average person, this is what I don't like about the SEC. You have to be an accredited investor, which means you have to earn, like, I think, $250,000 a year. I think you have to have a combined net worth between you and your spouse of at least $1 million a year. And being an accredited investor is not, means that if that was the case, if the SEC had their way, I think that they would require any investment in the cryptocurrency space to be, you'd probably have to be an accredited investor. And definitely in the fund space, if you had someone who, had a track record of getting results and having success and you want to invest in them, they would say, no, you can't. Why? Because you're not accredited, which just means you don't have enough money. So therefore, they want to protect you against yourself and against your own ability to make decisions. And I think this is where we have to be careful as citizens. There's a lot of people screaming for regulation in the cryptocurrency space, but I'm afraid that the SEC oftentimes is just going to simply overregulate. And maybe, let's just say, with good intentions. Okay, I'll buy that for a moment. Let's say that. Maybe it's really about protecting people. I mean, all you got to do is look at the sheer number of people in lending platforms and other sort of arbitrage type platforms, and there's just no proof, no solid proof, and they're going to get hurt. And then a lot of people who get hurt are going to go start blaming people. Even though they never had any proof that it was supposed to be working, it clearly had all the signs of a potential Ponzi scheme. And it's one thing if they say, hey, it might be a Ponzi scheme, but I'm going to try to, take my chances. But it's another thing when they take their chances and then they want to blame everyone that it was a Ponzi scheme when it did have all the signs that it was a Ponzi scheme all along. And so there are funds and projects and lending platforms and things like that in the cryptocurrency space. They're all over the place if you start looking. And unfortunately, I think people are going to scream for regulations. They're going to scream for help. The government should stop it. The government should go after these people. Maybe, but I think more importantly, we should use our own common sense. But in an effort to protect the people, at least that will be the public reason for doing it. They're basically going to be able to save some of the riskiest and also some of the most lucrative potential investments for those people that are just accredited investors, meaning the wealthy. And I think that's the opposite of what crypto is all about, in my opinion. I mean, crypto is really about decentralization. It's about freedom, giving people more freedom to decide, to make a decision, less censorship, less control. And in that case, you'll begin to realize that you can't have protection without losing some of the freedom when you're looking for that protection and that security. So with that being said, let me know what your thoughts are on this type of stuff and the SEC's role in cryptocurrency. Do you think they really have a role, or do you think it would just be better off if they were totally out of it? Because I kind of lean towards let people take their chances. I wish they were totally out of it. And I get it. It's wishful thinking. But what are your thoughts down below? Please let me know. And one more thing I want to say before we wrap up this video. Crypto Tab earnings doing phenomenal. It is going so fast. I've got several videos I'm going to cover. I'm already at 50,000 BTC, mind you. And let's see, 50,000 BTC. And what was my last withdrawal? Oh, here we go. Wasn't even paying attention. So we're already at 50,000 BTC, and we're only talking about day 3 since it's the 14th. So day 3 since my last withdrawal. So we're definitely on track to be doing another withdrawal at 6 days. That's so incredible. It is so exciting how fast this has grown. No matter what the crypto market does, it goes up or it goes down. You continue to earn passive, growing, exponential Bitcoin every single day from the Crypto Tab browser. I'll make certain there's a link below. Be sure to check it out. Now, also on this channel coming up, I've got some videos. I've been doing some research on Tron. I'm going to be talking about that. There's some very fascinating things about Tron. I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing, to be honest with you. And so I'm going to be talking about some of that coming up on my channel. I'm going to be talking about how to purchase Tron, how to open cryptocurrency accounts because I'm going to go over exchanges, how to open exchange accounts. So I'm going to be opening another exchange account as well. So stay tuned for all of that as coming up. And yeah, I'll save that. I had something special I want to share with you, but I'm going to save it for another video. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button, especially if you like this type of topic where we're talking about news specifically in the smart contract space, new and how it relates to this space. Because I'm going to make certain that I'm starting covering this more and more because I don't see anybody else out there in the YouTube space covering it in this way and in this style. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about this comment and content down in the comments below. Look forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day.